Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host, Lex.
I'm your other host, Dan. We're starting a little bit late because the microphone was turned off.
Whoops. Time to do our intro again. So it's April Fool's Day, and we have some amazing April Fool's news.
I was about to say, this intro is going to be so much better than our first one, because
That's
now we had practice. We
No,
just ruined it.
It's already worse. No, but actually, I really enjoyed a lot of the April Fool's stuff that came out today.
A lot of it was really good. Some of it not so good. We're going to talk about most of it.
Some of it was just not even a joke. It was just probably a real thing.
Yes. Masquerading as a joke. We have info today about some, I don't want to say Gamergate, but there's no better way to really say it initially, I guess. So we have some Gamergate-esque news coming from Nintendo's neck of the woods. Some info about game trailers, which we did a story on recently. About
really nice info about game trailers.
Some info about Solid Snake's longtime voice actor, David Hayter.
Oh my gosh, he is so salty.
And all that salt. He's just rolling in salt right now. As well as some information about Final Fantasy 15, which we love to talk about. A bunch of stuff about upcoming titles and titles that just released. And we're going to end off the show with a look at games that are coming out in the next week or so.
Yeah.
New releases. So why don't you take us into this one, Lex, since you're the one who pulled the story up.
Oh no, then we're going to start with the GG.
Let's start with this.
Okay.
Because why not? It's a big story. Get right into it.
Allison Rapp worked at Nintendo Treehouse, I believe it's called, as a marketing person.
Yes.
And she was recently fired from that position.
Yes.
And the story leading up to her being fired is pretty unpleasant.
This article is from the 30th, Wednesday, March 30th. We have a Kotaku article, although this has been reported on pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, and the Kotaku article has various updates, so I think it's probably the most complete of everything at this point.
Right.
Let's see if I can bring up my thing on my tablet. But, this sort of all started a couple months ago.
Started before the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yes. Basically, there's a lot of people on the internet who, some of which are associated with Gamergate, but I think many who are not.
Yeah.
And they were saying, hey, we're really mad that Nintendo's games, when they come to the US after being released in Japan, they are edited down. And sort of, some of the more sexy things get taken out.
Yeah.
And some of the other stuff is just weird. Like, there was something about, Fire Emblem. It was like face padding.
Yes.
Something very weird like that. And I was like, that's just strange. Just take it out.
But it doesn't hurt anybody.
No.
Like, I don't see a reason to remove it.
So they were yelling at people on Twitter about this. Specifically, they were yelling at anyone who is a representative of Nintendo Treehouse, because that's the division of the Nintendo that brings these games over.
Yes.
And Allison Rapp, who was on Twitter being a marketing person and sort of a spokesperson for that department of Nintendo. They focused a lot of their ire on her.
For some reason.
And she tried to say, like, hey, you guys, I mean, I actually I really wanted that boob slider in Xenoblade.
The Xenoblade Chronicles X boob slider was a completely needless omission from that game. I don't know what I guess the rationale was it has something to do with boobs, and they just didn't want it in the game, even though the game is rated like teen, and not, like, meant for, like, young kids.
Yeah.
Like, the story has a lot of, like, really gruesome violence.
You could murder monster babies in it.
You could.
You were telling me about that.
There's a mission. And guess what happens if you don't? People die.
Yeah, they kill people.
That's for real.
Those babies get big.
Yeah, there's a whole side quest in that about how people get parasitic eggs in their chests that start hatching out of them, and it's horrifying. Like, it's absolutely horrifying. Alien planets aren't fun. Maybe you need a boob slider to make yourself feel a little better. She didn't have any call on any of this stuff.
No.
She didn't actually have any power as far as what was being censored in these games.
She worked in marketing.
No.
Like, not even the people who work at Treehouse who work on the actual coding don't really have a call in this, because it's really the Nintendo executives that tell them what to do and what to take out. But she was in marketing, so she didn't even come close to having a call in this.
Yeah.
So But Twitter didn't care.
No.
So they basically just harassed her a lot, and the narrative became that she is some sort of hardcore feminist, and that's why she wanted things like the boob slider taken out, even though she specifically tweeted she wanted it to be kept in.
Yeah.
And it became that sort of stereotypical Gamergate scenario where one side is labeled as a social justice warrior, like ridiculous feminist, and the other side are like, we're trying to protect game ethics.
This all came to a head with, it seems like to me, reading this article, is that at some point there was a college essay of hers that was dug up.
Yes.
About Japan's relationship with child pornography laws. And her article seemed to fall more in line with the Japanese cultural viewpoint about this stuff. Which, it was a complicated, messy essay. Like, it argued for Japan to keep cultural values intact. And, like, that's the same thing that a lot of her harassers were basically saying, is, like, Japan put a boob slider in the game, because, shocker, Japan likes boobs. Why not?
Yeah.
And like, so people were saying, we want the boob slider in, and that's what her essay said. But people turned this into her defending pedophilia.
Yeah, well,
so all the harassers turned this into, like, she's a pedophile.
Yeah, what they did was a lot of this essay that she wrote got dug up. At least she says, because all these people who are harassing her are just going through all of her internet history and anything they can find with her online.
True, because that's seemingly what happens to all of these people.
Probably, yeah. So they went through all that stuff in order to find anything that they could use to discredit her.
Yeah.
And that essay was the thing that they found. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, those people then sent, I guess the essay, or maybe just their opinion about this essay, to different groups that work against child pornography and pedophilia.
Right.
And then the spokespeople for at least one of those groups came out very strongly against Allison Rapp. And I'm just like, seriously, you really should have looked into this further before you made a public statement against this woman. I really would have expected a representative for an organization.
Well, you know who I don't expect to do their research on this? The neo-Nazi white supremacist website, The Daily Stormer, which published a list of information for Nintendo executives encouraging people to report Rapp and ask for her firing.
Yes, this was the next step of this. So they were like, well, we dug up these things about her that we don't like, and she should get fired. So here's all the contact information for all the higher-ups at Nintendo. You should spam email them.
I'm glad that the neo-Nazis of our country are watching out for pedophiles.
Oh, yeah.
What a baffling situation this all turned into.
So then she was fired.
Yes.
And she posted on Twitter and she said, listen, I was fired because at this point, I was harassed to the point where I was a liability for Nintendo.
Right.
And
Nintendo's like, oh, this is getting associated with a lot of stuff we don't want to touch.
Yeah. And at first, Nintendo couldn't be reached for comment. Mm-hmm. For I think a day or two, that people kept asking, well, why did you fire her? Did you fire her because these people were yelling at her?
Meanwhile, their lawyers were desperately trying to write up a statement.
Yeah. And then they released one saying, hey, we fired her because she violated her contract for working at Nintendo, which said, if you're a Nintendo employee, you can't moonlight with a second job. You can't have a second job.
Yes.
Which is kind of weird. Like, I get that there are, like, non-compete clauses, so you couldn't work for another game developer.
Right.
But, like, if you just got a job, like, flipping burgers or something, why? That's so weird. Anyway, and they would not disclose what the second job was. Right. The only info that we have about it, I believe, is Rapp said, like, I've been moonlighting for, like, a really long time, doing the second job, because I'm trying to finish paying off my student loans. And, like, I talked to my bosses about it, managers, and they never had a problem with it.
Right.
So what this seems like was that a lot of people yelled at the Nintendo executives and at this woman on Twitter, and it caused bad PR for Nintendo, so they decided to fire her. Yes. And then when that looked bad, they looked through all of their legal stuff to see what kind of excuse they could give.
To get her out of there.
Yeah. That seems to be what happened.
Seemingly.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if we're going to get any more information about this? Or if it's just kind of going to smolder.
A complicated, disgusting web it is weaved.
How come anytime something like this happens, like pedophilia just always comes into it? Because people are just like, oh, what do we do to ruin her reputation? Just accuse her of being a pedophile.
Pedophilia and neo-Nazis, they always show up.
Easy. Yeah, they always end up being a part of this. So yeah, it's just the latest in another people getting up in arms at the wrong person about something that they're nonsensically mad about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, like, at the end of the day, no one comes out ahead on this story. No. Like, nobody. Because the people who wanted the boob slider, and other things, other more legitimate things, to be included in these games, aren't getting that. There's no evidence that they're gonna get that. Yeah. Those are still gonna be taken out of the games going forward. This woman has lost her job.
Yeah.
And Nintendo were huge jerks about it.
Yeah.
So everyone looks bad.
Yeah.
Everyone's in a bad way.
And the people who are so up in arms about this in the first place, I don't get why this is such an issue for them. Because I already said in this, like, I wanted the boob slider in Xenoblade. Because why not? It was another character option. Yeah. I played a female character in Xenoblade Chronicles X. When I went to character creation, I knew there was a boob slider because I'd watched a video they did earlier of, like, a character creation screen. Of the Japanese version. So I got through all that stuff and I was like, huh, I guess they took the boob slider out. And then I played the game.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
because that didn't actually affect the game.
Actually change anything about how I was playing the game. Like, it was just this brief moment of realization and then I played the game and enjoyed it. And Fire Emblem's the same way. There's all these people like, they took out the head patting minigame. Now I can't pat my big burly knights on the head. And they changed around the dialogue in a few subquests and stuff too to make it like less sexual, like less anime fan servicey sounding.
Yeah.
And people are like, I'm so mad about this, and it's like, why? So what? I mean, like the head patting like is a weird thing to remove because, like I said, it's not. I don't even know if I'd really call it sexual because I've watched videos of it, and you basically just poke them with the stylus, and they go ha ha ha. It's just dumb. But, like, I can't understand why someone gets so pissed that they took that out. And all these people who are getting so angry and saying, like, oh, I'm so mad that they did this. You're going to buy the game anyway and play it. Huh. If you want to send a message, don't buy the video game. But I guarantee you that all of these people bought the video game.
And here's the other thing. As we discussed a couple of weeks ago, there's that new service with Amazon where you can order stuff from Japan.
Yes.
You really still want all those features? Just order a Japanese copy.
Get the Japanese version.
It's not that hard.
No. Whatever. Whatever. Let's talk about game trailers.
Good news.
Or the new game trailers.
New game trailers. So, I mean, I guess this is as close to, like, a Kickstarter story as we have.
Yeah.
Because it's a Patreon story, and they're kind of the same thing, but not really. So... game trailers, as we reported on, I feel like it was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, maybe even longer, it was a little while ago, they closed down.
Yes.
Basically, they had been operating for, what was it, like 13 years? It was quite a while.
Yeah.
And then last year, they were purchased by a bigger media company, and that company was like, oh, this site isn't profitable, and then immediately started, like, downsizing, and then after 6 months to a year of that, they said, well, we're just going to close it down.
Yeah.
And all those people who have been doing this work for 13 years all lost their jobs, and it sucked. Yep. Sucked real bad.
Yep. But now many of those people have started a Patreon for themselves to create video game streams as shows.
Yeah. So this Patreon, their new alias is Easy Allies.
Which I think is a weird name.
It's a little strange. But it's, I mean, it's easier to remember, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So they had a great, video on it where they're like trying to like get the band back together, and it shows what they've all been doing. And like one of them has like just finished murdering someone with a katana. Another one is like in a tree, and he's just like, how did I get into this tree? Another one's just like living in a cardboard box on the street.
And they have all their like goals basically for the Patreon all set. And it looks like they've already hit almost all of them.
Yes.
Because they are at $33,720 a month. And their last goal is at $50,000. So they've got multiple shows, podcasts. There's 2 podcasts, I guess. They're going to do reviews again. They're going to do Game Trailers retrospectives again, and the only thing they haven't hit is like a whole new studio.
Now they started doing this. I believe this launched on March 21st, or maybe a little later than that. So it's been going for like a little over a week now.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've already made all that money, so that's awesome. I've watched some of the content they put out. They have a D&D show that they did the first episode of. I watched that. They did a review of Quantum Break that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
They otherwise, like, they've done a lot of, like, Let's Play stuff so far that are just, like, 3-hour videos of games that are kind of interesting, but I haven't sat down to try and watch any of them yet. But I like that they do their reviews in, like, 6 or 7 minute videos, so I'll probably be checking out more of their reviews.
I always like that about them, actually.
So this is great. You should go support them if you had any interest in game trailers or you want to check them out now. It's there. I can say from the content that I've watched already, it's quite good.
Yeah.
So they're doing good work.
Check it out and become a patron if you want to.
Yeah.
Because they're still got another goal to hit. So it's a ways off. Should we talk about this story next? The Metal Gear
Salt
story. I mean, we went from bad to good, so let's go back to bad.
Swinging around.
So there was an interview with the Game Informer podcast with Mr. David Hayter, who is a screenwriter and longtime voice actor for Solid Snake and Big Boss in the Metal Gear games. And in this interview, Hayter is really candid compared to how he was prior to the release of MGS5 and other things. So for anyone who doesn't know, Metal Gear Solid 5, David Hayter was let go and replaced with Kiefer Sutherland as the voice actor of Big Boss.
The guy from 24.
Having played MGS5, Kiefer Sutherland does a fine job for what little dialogue he actually has in the game. So that's not really a problem. But a lot of fans, myself included, were kind of put off by Hayter's absence from this game. And the circumstances around it were very weird, and all we really knew before the game came out was he was taken out to lunch by Konami people, and they said, yeah, we're not asking you to come back for this game. And that was that.
Yep.
So, Hayter's been Snake since Metal Gear Solid, on the PlayStation 1. And,
he revealed a little interesting thing about Snake Eater, though.
Yeah, that he had to re-audition.
Yeah, so apparently he had auditioned, he had gotten the role, and then Kojima realized, I guess, they had a high enough budget, or he had some sort of connection to Kurt Russell. Now, Kurt Russell, for those who don't know, was Snake Plissken in The Escape from New York and Escape from L.A.
Yes, and is 100% the inspiration for the Solid Snake character.
Yeah. So, I guess Kojima had there was a potential for Kurt Russell to be the voice of Snake in this game.
And Kojima really wanted that.
Yeah, so he said to Hayter, oh, you can't do it, because Kurt Russell might be able to do it. And then they went to negotiations with Kurt Russell, which then fell through, and Kurt Russell did not end up doing it. And
so they had auditions.
And so David Hayter had to audition again.
Yes.
For a role that he initially had.
Yes.
Which is just really insulting.
It is really insulting to a voice actor who you've already given the role. Like, it's one thing to just say, like, oh, we might not want you because we're going to get Kurt Russell, but it's entirely another to force him to re-audition. Because that's just like, that's really kind of telling him, like, yeah, you're not really good enough, but you're all we have. Which is that's a shitty thing to send, it's a shitty message to send to any kind of performer.
Oh, definitely.
Especially when you've already worked with so much, is the other strange part.
Oh man, do you think the reason why, what's his name? Ryu? Or... Who's the guy from Metal Gear Solid 2? Raiden, that was it. I knew it was one of those names. Do you think that's why they introduced Raiden? Because they were like, oh, dude.
No, I know why Raiden was introduced. Raiden was introduced because they asked Japanese schoolgirls if they would play a game starring Solid Snake by showing them pictures, and they said no, he's old and ugly.
Oh. Wow.
So they were like, we needed a hot young protagonist. And they introduced Raiden, and everyone was like, boo!
Yeah, because the people who play that game,
are not Japanese high school girls. Yeah, the Raiden thing is totally unrelated. Also because in Japan, Snake in every single game, has been voiced by Akio Otsuka since the very beginning. And a podcast I listened to brought up the interesting thought about this, that to the Japanese audience, and to Kojima himself, likely, David Hayter is not Solid Snake. Akio Otsuka is Snake.
Oh, that is an interesting argument.
Because he has been the voice of Snake in Japan for this entire time, and that's never changed. There's a long-standing thing there. So I think to Kojima, and I know Hayter and Kojima have definitely met, but chances are they have never really worked directly together all that much, because they're in very different positions. He's a voice actor, Kojima's a director. So I think people have this idea that they're friends, which is most definitely not true.
Well, from this podcast,
definitely not anymore, because I believe that Hayter actually said that he has no particular, fondness for Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, and he even says that he'd rather not work with him again.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, okay. But I think that Kojima definitely sees Hayter as just, he's that guy we got to do the English voice for the dubs of these games. But to him, Akio Otsuka is the one who he would not put out in the cold, because that's the guy he's worked with more, and more in depth. The interesting thing that this also brings up is that Hayter actually plays all of the games that he does Snake's voice in. He's played all the Metal Gear Solid games up until 5 now, and he played Peace Walker as well. And they asked him if he ever planned on playing MGS5, and he said, that'll be 60 hours of humiliation that I can't get to. Which is a really acidic thing to say, but I get it. Because why would he? Even if he's in the past enjoyed these games, for more reasons than just the fact that he voice acts in them, because I don't think he'd play through them all the way if it was just because he did the voice of it.
Yeah, probably not.
It implies that he kind of enjoys the series.
Yeah.
So to say that, especially with MGS5, it's got this great gameplay, and I'm sure he'd enjoy that, but it really must feel insulting to him to play through that game and just hear Kiefer Sutherland voicing this character that he's voiced for so long. I don't think I'd want to do it either. And that's, not even taking into account that MGS5's not all that good. In the grand scheme of things. So you dodged a bullet on that one, David. Because I've seen some people saying he's being a baby about all of this, and I don't really agree with that sentiment.
No, I don't think so.
I think maybe he's lashing out big time now that he can be more candid about it.
Yeah.
And maybe he should just kind of let it go and move on. But the way he was treated comes off as really poor.
Well, also he was asked to come on this podcast, and it's not like he's just going onto Twitter and venting.
No.
It's they asked him a direct question about this.
And he gave them his real answer.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is he hasn't really been venting on Twitter and stuff. He's not going on there and posting all these nasty things about Kojima and Metal Gear and Kiefer Sutherland and all that stuff. I don't think he has anything against Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer didn't do anything wrong.
No. I was just looking up his writing credits for the screenwriting stuff that he's done.
He's working on a bunch of stuff.
The first 2 X-Men movies, but also the Scorpion King, so that's unfortunate. He wrote the adaptation of Watchmen for the film, but I can't blame him for that because Zack Snyder.
The script for that was fine.
Yeah, I mean they pretty much just directly copied from the comic.
Yeah,
so that must have been actually a really easy page.
Yeah. And for a guy who I believe he's pretty into comic books and stuff, so it's unsurprising that he'd probably want to work on that too.
Yeah.
What's his most recent credit?
Just
out of curiosity.
It was something I hadn't heard of. He was the voice of King Shark in the Flash TV show. I didn't even recognize him. But that totally was David Hayter, now that I think back to it. The Flash in one of the episodes of the show fights a big CGI monster named King Shark. And it does totally sound like Solid Snake. I didn't even realize. But, yeah, he was the voice of him, and before that, I don't know. He wrote a movie called Wolves. I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
It's probably some B horror movie.
Maybe.
It's a Canadian action horror film, which he also directed. It's from 2014.
Interesting.
There's very little other information. Well, there's a plot synopsis, but that's about it. Huh. We'll see about that. But anyway.
Let's get into April Fool's Day.
Actually, it's, we sort of started late. But we're like halfway through, kind of.
Yeah, roughly.
I wanted to take a minute to talk about us on social media.
Oh, yeah.
So you can find us on all sorts of social media. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Steam, which is sort of social media. You can find us on YouTube, which is sort of social media. You can find us on Twitter, which the handle is @DCTF Podcast. And what am I forgetting? There's another iTunes. That was it.
Where we have a show archive.
And you can go and review us on there. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes, review us. Give us 5 stars.
5, no less than 5.
No less than 5, please.
If you were going to give less than 5, just don't bother.
Yeah. I mean, 4 might be okay. But anything less than that, just don't bother. We prefer 5.
But yes, you can check out show archives there on iTunes or on the chipit.net website.
Yes. We're also going to have a show archive on YouTube once I get my very legal and 100% legitimately purchased copy of Adobe Premiere.
You totally paid for that.
I did. I paid full price for it
to
install it on my computer.
Uh-huh.
I'm just running into some technical issues with exporting the videos that are supposed to go up on YouTube. But I'm in the process of that, so within the next week or so, those will start going up on YouTube. So we'll have a show archive there as well. And we're thinking about getting a Patreon going.
Thinking about it. It worked for the game trailers, guys.
It did work for the game trailers, guys. So we're thinking about getting a Patreon going. So keep an eye out for that. We'll post to our Facebook and our Twitter and all that about it.
Oh, yeah.
When it happens. So let's get to April Fool's Day.
Oh my gosh.
That's not an April Fool's joke, by the way.
Yeah, that stuff is all real. Now let's get some April Fool's jokes.
Yes.
So Polygon did actually a pretty solid roundup of a lot of April Fool's stuff.
Yes.
And their first one was good.
Probably one of the best.
The best.
Probably the best.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. All about Roach.
For anyone who doesn't know, your horse in The Witcher 3 is named Roach. And they did, CD Projekt Red did this little 3-minute video giving a behind-the-scenes look at the creation of the horse character, which is really great and has all these really great jokes about the glitches and how they made a horse that was too realistic.
Yeah, and it never glitched at all, and everyone was getting motion sickness because it was too realistic.
So they added all these glitches in to make you remember it was a video game.
Yeah.
And it shows videos of all these visual glitches with the horse, bouncing up and down on stairs and getting on its hind legs and just kind of scooting around.
And they have joke concept art for the
and people doing mocap with the horse mask on.
Oh, and then they do the interview with the guy who does the voice acting for the horse.
Yeah, because they say in their new expansion that the horse will be a fully voiced character.
Yeah, because at the end of it they do a great DLC joke.
Yeah, for $4.99 you can buy the Roach voice pack.
Pre-order now. Oh, that was so good.
That one was great.
This is 2.5 minutes of amazing.
There's a League of Legends one that I don't get.
I don't know. I don't understand how League of Legends works.
Yeah.
Skip it.
Yeah.
Keep going down. Apparently there was a Hearthstone one where they were like, Hearthstone, the MMO. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
There was a really outdated World of Warcraft Doge joke.
Oh no.
You know, the hot new meme, Doge. Wow, such meme.
There was, Final Fantasy XIV had a extremely well-produced one, called Choco Go. And it was just a joke advertisement for a company that's like Uber, but instead of, a taxi, you get a chocobo.
Yes.
And it takes you places. And they talk about how they're all super energy efficient and they don't produce pollution, and you can rate them with extra greens and stuff. I can't stress enough how well produced it is.
Yes.
It's extremely well made, and it's kind of funny. There was sort of a missed opportunity for the Deus Ex Mankind Divided guys.
Yeah, by Square Enix Montreal.
Where they did a little thing where they were like, oh man, this color palette, it's terrible. It's just all black and gold all over the place. We need to go in a different direction with our art. What if you just make everything pink? So it starts with like a meeting of the art department where they talk about that, and it's like kind of funny. But then it goes on to just being like the head of the art department sitting next to this guy at a computer who has edited like one piece of gameplay or screenshot or like concept art to be all pink, but then nothing else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you guys, you need to like commit and actually like give us fake gameplay where all the color palettes were different.
Yeah.
Because that would have been really funny, but they didn't really put that much effort into it.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah. There's a joke about Big the Cat from Sonic Adventure getting his own game about fishing. And anyone who's played or seen someone play Sonic Adventure knows how miserable that would be. Big the Cat, the character who literally talks like this.
Oh no.
Guess who voices him?
David Hayter?
John St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem.
Really?
Yep.
That's great.
That is great. The whole game, his whole part in that game is chasing after a frog. So the entire adventure where you play as Big the Cat consists of him going, oh no! Where'd you go, Froggy? Come back here! And then you have to fish Froggy up, and you do it, and then Froggy runs somewhere else, and then you have to go do it somewhere else. That's his whole campaign. Because that game's made up of like 5 different adventures. Big the Cat, everyone's favorite part. There's a StarCraft joke about there's a couple StarCraft jokes. There's one about a 16-bit driving game featuring StarCraft Ghosts Nova called Maximum Nova Drive. There was a StarCraft 2 co-op commander joke thing about where you can like balance the game yourself, because people complain about like all the balancing of like units and patches and everything.
Okay.
So like a football manager style game where you choose how to balance StarCraft 2, which is kind of funny. BM 2016 brings an incredible amount of depth to the balancing experience, whether you're balancing for ladder, the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series, or your cousin's roommate's LAN party. BM 2016 is the world for you, is the tool for you. Arma did some weird thing about, like, perfume.
But no one cares about Arma, so we just skipped over it.
No one cares about Arma. Can I tell a brief story about Arma?
Must you?
I must. Back in the good old days, when I worked at GameStop, these 2 portly bearded fellows came in, walked up to the counter, and very irritatedly requested that I get them a copy of Arma 2 for the PC. And I looked through our PC stock and said, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have any copies of Arma 2. And then they laughed and said, we knew you wouldn't. We just wanted to see. And then they left the store, like, really haughtily. And I didn't really get what the deal was. Like, are people who play Arma 2 just really, like, they think they're really cool? Because they play Arma 2? I'd never heard of Arma 2.
Because they're the more indie, because you thought Counter-Strike was indie, but no.
No, Arma 2, man.
Arma 2.
Is Arma 3 out?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
I don't really know what the game is. It seems like you just kind of run around on an island and sometimes shoot at people.
Yeah, nobody cares.
But some people care a lot. Some people care enough to go to GameStop and make the employees feel bad. Because GameStop doesn't carry their stupid game. I don't think I've ever seen a copy of Arma.
I just keep seeing it on Steam. They're always like, hey, you want to get Arma for a deep discount? I'm like, nah, not really.
Dragon Age Inquisition. How it could have ended.
I didn't watch that specifically because I haven't finished Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm like, is this going to spoil? Like, it might. I don't know. I can't take that risk. I was invested. But no, then we've got the best one.
This is my favorite one.
Oh my god, it was so good. And we posted it to Facebook already. It's the Dark Souls 3 the movie trailer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a Grindhouse movie style trailer for Dark Souls, like if it was like a B horror action movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
they did it all with the VHS filter, like the film grain.
Oh, and it talks about how it's coming to home video on VHS on April 12th.
Yeah, and it's got all these terrible, like, hell and demon puns.
Oh, yeah, the guy, great. They have the announcer guy doing the voiceover, and it's, like, the exact kind of guy from the 70s Grindhouse trailers. It's perfect.
Yeah. If you're fighting demons, you better be a hell of a hero. Like, it's really dumb.
Please watch it. It's amazing.
Great. It's only like a minute long. Wargaming, the creators of World of Tanks, etc., announced World of War trains and bathtub battles and more. Like a World of Warships bathtub map.
Amazing.
It looks pretty funny. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. All aboard World of War trains.
Oh man, that art that they put out for that is great.
Yeah, and they released some other stuff of like all these weird like experimental tanks that you could like play. Like this one that was like a sphere with a single track on it that they're gonna add to World of Warcraft or World of Tanks. I don't know what this Google one is.
There's something that references the show Silicon Valley, which I don't watch, so I don't care.
Oh, it's a TV show. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the one that's not really a joke.
Yeah, it was perplexing to us. NVIDIA made a fake ad for an energy drink, but you watch it. You know, I take it back. The Chocobo Go thing was not the most well-produced thing. This was.
This actually was.
This because it looks exactly like a real commercial. It plays out exactly like a real commercial. There's no joke. Yeah. It's just NVIDIA making an energy drink.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so...
But they're not actually, as far as we know.
As far as we know. Dan's theory was that this was just to test the waters, to see if people actually wanted to buy an energy drink from NVIDIA.
And then they're going to announce it, like, next week of, like, guess what, everybody? We're doing it!
Yeah, they're going to announce it. They're like, remember that hilarious April Fool's joke? Well, you know what? We're actually going to do it. This is just like how Pokemon Go got announced. Because they were like, remember that Pokemon Google Maps game? And everybody loved it? Well, here's Pokemon Go. So for this, it's the same thing. It's going to be the same thing.
Yes.
So NVIDIA's going to make an energy drink. You heard it here first. It was April Fool's, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Believe us. Because my thought of if they wanted to be April Fool's was just have someone be like, NVIDIA, new energy drink, power up! And they show someone drink it, and then that person just bursts into flames.
See, that would require a degree of, like, self-awareness and the ability to poke fun at themselves that I don't think NVIDIA has.
No, because that's like the internet joke of, like, oh, NVIDIA, you're just gonna set your computer on fire. But they probably don't think that's very funny.
Which is why they shouldn't be doing April Fool's jokes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that World of Warships is so good.
It looks great.
Yeah, Flash animation.
It's like a weird Flash cartoon.
Fantastic.
Speaking of cartoons.
Speaking of April Fool's jokes, or things we wish were April Fool's jokes. March 30th, some news dropped about Final Fantasy 15. Was it gameplay, you ask? No.
Why would they show gameplay?
No, that's not important.
Why would they release the game?
You know what is important? The main characters eating together.
It apparently is, because every time I see screenshots or of like this anime or of the game, they're cooking food, catching food, eating food.
It's
all they do.
So Square announced Final Fantasy 15 is getting an anime prequel series.
Please call it by its name, Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15.
Ugh. And also a CG movie, which sounds like a lot of money to pour into this.
They are pushing this game so hard.
Oh, the trailer for the CG movie, though.
I'm sure it looks great.
It looks real pretty.
I'm sure it looks gorgeous, because Square Enix knows how to make amazing CG cutscenes.
Will it be better than Spirits Within?
Undoubtedly.
Are you sure?
It will at the very least be a much more entertaining watch.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer does look pretty
Spirits Within is boring.
Yeah.
Like, first and foremost, that movie is dull.
I still don't understand what kind of setting they're trying to go with Final Fantasy 15, because there's like these shots of magicians and medieval stuff, and there's shots of cowboys, and then there's shots of like
the new Camaro.
Yeah, and it's so weird.
It's bizarre. And then you watch screenshots from the like trailers and or the screenshots from the demos and stuff, and then they go find some people grilling on the top of a hill with their RV.
Yeah. Like lawn flamingos.
It's so weird.
Kingsglade.
At the very least, it looks really pretty. And probably kind of exciting. The movie's coming out this fall. The anime is going to be free. The first episode is already available to watch off of YouTube.
Oh.
And as far as I can tell, the whole first episode is just them eating in a diner.
Which is, to be fair, what we assume the
maybe
whole game
eating
is.
at a campsite also, because there's a screenshot of that. Maybe that's a preview for episode 2.
Yeah.
It's just all these bros.
Wow.
Going and eating. They love it.
Yeah, I feel like I need to watch this to properly critique it, but I really don't want to.
Still so much he wants to tell Dad.
Oh, bros have problems. Dad problems.
They've been pushing FF15 really, really hard. And I think that that's probably because some of the last few Final Fantasy games have been somewhat poorly received. And especially, 13, 13.2, and 13.3.
Oh, yeah, why did they do that?
Because they had nothing better to do. And then this Final Fantasy Versus 13 became this. And now I feel like Square Enix is just really doing an all-or-nothing gambit with this game. They want this game to be so good that everyone will want to buy it and play it. But and they're putting out all this supplemental material.
Yeah, you don't solve that with supplemental material. You solve that by showing us cool gameplay. That's all you need to do.
Nah.
But why do that?
Nah.
Well, it also makes us assume this game is really far from finished because they're not showing us any gameplay.
I mean, they've released another playable demo.
Yeah.
So, there is gameplay. It's weird that they themselves aren't showing it off, though.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's another demo you can go play. Play more Final Fantasy 15, see what the game's like. And it looks fine. I just don't care.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. The combat system looks solid, I guess.
Yeah.
If a little uninteresting, but it seems to work fine.
Ugh.
I don't know.
The movie's gonna have big name people doing the dub.
It's got the guy from Breaking Bad,
and it's got Bryan Cranston.
No, not Bryan. The other guy from Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul.
Little Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston's son. Breaking Bad. No,
I don't know the names of the actors in Breaking Bad besides Bryan Cranston.
I'm pretty sure his name's Aaron Paul, but I could be wrong.
Who's he play?
He plays the other main character,
Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston?
Wait, are you talking about Bryan Cranston? Wait, are you talking about the lawyer who has his own show now?
What's that, Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Starring Bryan Cranston?
Who's it Better Call Saul? Is it Bryan Cranston?
But in the movie, it's also going to star Sean Bean and Lena Headey of Game of Thrones and other stuff fame.
Man, look at that.
I don't think you can really even say Sean Bean of Game of Thrones fame. He's way more well known for a bunch of other stuff.
Now all they need to do is get some of those American voice actors that do the Studio Ghibli films. They get Christian Bale in there.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton, yes. I was talking to someone about a Billy Bob Thornton movie the other day, and I could not remember his name, and I just kept wanting to say Tommy Lee Jones. And I'm like, no, but it's not who it is. It's not. It's just a three-word name.
Billy Bob Jones.
Billy Bob Jones.
So yeah, Final Fantasy. Exciting?
Yeah.
I guess. Oops, I closed the story.
Well, I was going to say you can close that story, because there isn't a huge need for us to talk about it.
No, that's true.
Also, we're running a little low on time, I believe. What do we got? What we got for time? Oh man, we were 4 or 5 minutes in.
We got another 15 minutes. A little more than another 15 minutes. So
update to last week.
Yeah, we just talked about Dark Souls 3 a little bit. And last week we talked about a story from March 29th. Or no, that story was from some other date. This story's from March 29th. About a player who played Dark Souls 1 on Twitch and beat the game without getting hit. Now, Lex and I said, wow, that's impressive. Good for him.
And then we both meant to go and watch it, and I didn't.
And I didn't yet either at that point. And then on the March 29th, I saw this story saying that Dark Souls director, this is off Polygon, does not believe the player who beat the game without taking a hit. So Mr. Hidetaka Miyazaki claimed that that playthrough is an elaborate rumor because he just cannot see the plausibility in beating the game without taking a hit. And the article then says whether that particular run is real, an archive of the live stream of the run is available. So you can go watch it. And this article, it makes it sound like they didn't really watch it either. It's just like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not.
They didn't care that much.
So I read some other stuff about it, which said he, beat the game without getting hit. Only quitting and reloading the game when he got hit on a run that didn't go as well as he wanted it to. And I was like, wait, so did he get hit or not? So I watched part of the live stream and went to a boss fight in which he dies from being hit and then quits and reloads the game acting like nothing happened.
So the best you can say is that he has run through boss fights and zones individually without taking a hit.
But
he has not run through the game.
But that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That means I beat the game without taking a hit when I successfully took a hit, but not when I got hit. So I beat the game without taking a hit, except for all the times that I got hit.
It's cheating. It's called cheating.
It's basically called cheating and lying about what you did. So to Happy Hobbit, the guy who did this run...
He's still very talented.
Oh, absolutely. But
he's a cheater.
He's
a liar, and he's a horrible human being.
Yes.
Sorry.
I agree. And Hidetaka Miyazaki, you're right. And I posted this to our Facebook and made fun of Miyazaki being like, oh, Miyazaki, how funny, you didn't, you're wrong, because he did. And then I watched it, I was like, I'm sorry, Mr. Miyazaki, you're absolutely right.
I like how from every story that we've covered, it just seems like nobody who's either writing the story or being interviewed for the story has actually watched the gameplay.
Yeah, because neither did we. Until I posted this other story, and then I was like, I want to go check this out. And then I learned the horrible truth.
Everyone just took the internet's word for it, and we should never do that. I don't know why.
Cautionary tale.
I don't know. We should know that lesson.
This is just like Twitch plays Dark Souls. All these people are like, oh, look at this amazing thing this person did in Dark Souls. This is so amazing. And then you go and actually watch it, and you're like, no, they cheated. They just cheated. So what we're really learning is Dark Souls is really hard. And the only way to stop it from being really hard is by cheating.
Basically. That's what I need to start doing.
Yeah.
Just cheat. Just cheat. How do I beat the Asylum demon? Just cheat.
Now, if you need to cheat to beat the Asylum demon, that's just bad.
I'm
really sorry, bad. I can't defend that. Blizzard censorship. We gonna talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big... Talk about Butts. Butts was a big story this week.
Butts were a big story.
Butts were big this week. So this is a story, we're looking at a Polygon article from March 28th, which is when this went down.
Yes.
There was a whole thing, I gotta bring it up on my thing now, but Overwatch, which is still in beta, I believe, there are victory poses for all the characters. They each have a fun little victory pose.
Yeah, or a couple victory poses.
Yeah, one of the characters is named Tracer, and she manipulates time and
she
junk.
Became the internet's waifu when the game was announced.
It's
true. I saw tons of forums just being like, "Oh my god, Tracer's so cute," but she's not cute enough that everyone wants to see her butt.
Exactly. So one of her victory poses is her doing sort of the. I refer to it as the Black Widow from Avengers pose.
Where everybody's like, we're gonna fight, and then she has her back to the camera and is kind of looking over her shoulder. I'm all cool.
She's like, look at my butt.
Yeah.
Why would I ever be facing
my name's
this?
Scarlett Johansson. Look at my butt.
So Tracer, the character Tracer, basically has that as one of the victory poses.
And she's wearing tight rubber pants.
And
all future people wear.
And you see her butt. You see her butt. Also, her legs seem too long.
It's stylized.
It's a little weird. But some people were annoyed by this. One person specifically wrote into Blizzard and said, hey, you're releasing backstory and personality stuff for all these characters.
Yeah.
And with Tracer, it doesn't really she seems more like a kid. She seems more like fun-loving and spunky, but she doesn't seem like a femme fatale kind of sexualized character like some other characters in the game, like Widowmaker the Sniper.
Is who they specifically bring up, and Widowmaker also has like sexy victory poses.
Yeah.
But for her personality, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because she's got like the sultry assassin kind of personality.
So they wrote to Blizzard, they said, hey, like I think probably, or maybe they did a Reddit post or something, I don't know, they posted somewhere. And they explained their reasoning, and they said, yeah, you should probably not have Tracer have that post, because it doesn't really make sense.
Blizzard's response was just, the director of the game just said, we'll replace the post.
Yeah. Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
But then,
the least dramatic result of this.
And then, of course, people on the internet got mad, because they were like, censorship!
Yeah, so you can't win it. Everyone can just be happy with Widowmaker's butt.
Dude, Widowmaker's all you need.
That's all the butt you need.
That's all the butt you need.
There's a screenshot of it.
I like how one of we posted this article on Facebook, and one of our listeners commented and was just like, "Yeah, I mean, it would be a way less weird pose if she didn't perpetually have a wedgie. Like, could they have just designed her 3D model so that you didn't see her butt crack so hard?
No.
Because that would have been another pretty easy way to solve this.
Listen up. In the future, pants hug your butt. It's whether you're a dude, whether you're a girl. You got pants, they're on your butt. They touch that butt. They're tight on that butt. That's what I like. I like a future where everyone has really tight pants. Like in Evangelion.
That's
where they all wear the plug suits, and even Shinji, he's got his butt. He has Shinji butt.
No one wants to see that.
No one wants to see Shinji butt, and that's the point. It's there anyway.
No one wants to see Shinji, period. Especially not his dad.
Especially not his dad. There's consistency there, though.
That's true.
Everyone has skin-tight butt pants, and that's equality.
Yeah. But no, one of the things that the director of Overwatch said was like, hey, I mean, it seems like really reasonable feedback.
Yeah.
It's an argument that makes sense to me. Well, I'll just take it out. Also, some of the people who, some of the staff making the game were like, maybe this doesn't make sense. We weren't sure about it. And that was just sort of what tipped the scale.
It was just kind of like a go-to pose, I think, in a lot of these cases.
Yeah. Also, if they already had, the animation designed on the framework for the other female characters.
It's an easy placeholder at the very least.
And it's in beta. It's I guess it would be a different thing if it was taken out of the finished game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. Internet, don't overreact. Just chill out.
So as of yesterday, March 31st, Nintendo's first mobile app, Miitomo, has launched in North America for Android and iOS devices.
Oh, wow.
It's been out for about 2 weeks in Japan. And they said it would launch at the end of that month in 39 countries worldwide. It's a free-to-start social experience designed around Nintendo's Mii avatars. So you customize your avatar and interact with your friends through a Q&A mode. So it's just a weird little social thing that kind of goes along with the Street Pass philosophy that they've done. Whatever, it's neat. But it's definitely not. It's not the Nintendo mobile app I'm excited about.
No,
I want Pokemon Go. Because Pokemon Go, if it turns out well, will be really cool.
Whereas this, if it turns out well, will be kind of fun for a little while, I guess.
Yeah. They also are opening a new virtual store on Nintendo.com where people with a Nintendo account can purchase games for download to their 3DS or Wii U from that, instead of just buying it on their 3DS or Wii U. So that's fine, I guess.
Okay.
Sure. Just a new option. Speaking of Nintendo, Hyrule Warriors Legends came out on the Nintendo 3DS, and as most people who had any sense about them would have expected, don't look so great.
It's a pretty big down res.
Pretty rough.
And the bigger problem becomes that if you play it on the regular
3DS, not the new 3DS,
not only does it not look good, but it also has horrible frame rate issues.
Really bad frame rate issues.
So maybe just don't play this as a mobile game. Maybe just don't. Or don't play it at all, because why would you play a Zelda Dynasty Warriors? I still don't understand why.
Well, to be fair, if you like Dynasty Warriors type games, if you're one of those people...
One of those people?
Those people.
I'm judging you.
I'm judging them very hard right now. If you're one of those people, the Hyrule Warriors game is probably one of the best games of that style ever released. Like, period.
Wow.
People who've played a lot of these games have said that Hyrule Warriors is, like, excellent for that kind of game. So there's that, I guess. Because people said, even if you don't like these kind of games normally, or you don't really like Zelda, but you do like these kind of games, like, you might want to just check it out. Because it's actually really good, and even if you don't like Zelda, it's like a really good game of this style. But who knows?
Oh, Linka. I forgot about Linka.
Linkle.
Whatever.
Linka's what she should be named.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Now I remember.
Linka is like what we thought she should be named. Because, I don't know.
Whatever.
She's in this, I guess. I think.
Yeah. I thought, this is the only thing she's in.
Is she only in that one, or did they release her for the Wii U version as well?
Oh, I just meant that she's only in Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, yeah, she's only in Hyrule Warriors.
She's not in, like, a real Zelda game.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
There's some new information. I want to talk about this article about Kingdom Hearts, because it just makes me so upset. They released a screenshot for the newest Kingdom Hearts game, which goes into detail about the upcoming game that's supposed to be like getting you ready for Kingdom Hearts 3. It said there's an image. He tweeted a birthday message because the series' 14th birthday was on March 28th, and Tetsuya Nomura, the director, tweeted a birthday message that says, "At age 14, the series is now as old as the protagonist Sora was in Kingdom Hearts." And he included an image from Kingdom Hearts X back cover, which will be one of several titles included in PlayStation 4 compilation Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, which you see a town called Daybreak Town from Kingdom Hearts X that will now be getting high def for Kingdom Hearts X back cover, and included in Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue alongside Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a Fragmentary Passage. What is this game anymore?
No one knows.
Birth by Sleep 0.2? Why? None of this naming sensibility makes any sense anymore.
Nope.
It's so stupid.
Is there a trend in Japan right now to have just, like, the video game's name and then X at the end of it?
Maybe.
Because Monster Hunter Cross, right?
Yes.
And then the NX and Kingdom Hearts X back
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that's happening.
Monster Hunter Kudos. At least they said Cross instead of just X.
Yeah. It was an X, though.
It's an X. I still think they should release an expanded version of it called Monster Hunter Double Cross.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. So last little story we've got here, that is not April Fool's news, even though it was announced on April 1st. Capcom has announced that they are creating a mobile business division, which is going to use popular IPs to push new mobile products, much like Nintendo. Brands such as Monster Hunter, Sengoku Basara, and even Mega Man have been named specifically. They will be releasing 4 games by the end of fiscal year 2017. So, they've done mobile stuff before, although nearly everything's kind of been half-assed cash grab. Including all of the mobile Mega Man stuff that's come out already. And, maybe they're still making good stuff, but this Destructoid article, the writer says I kind of doubt it. And I wanted to bring this up too, because I think it's really sad that Capcom has so thoroughly abandoned Mega Man in any form aside from mobile games now, apparently. It's sad.
It is sad.
It's really depressing.
Don't worry, Mighty Number 9 might
Mighty Number 9's not coming out.
It's
ever.
not coming out. It's never gonna happen.
It's never releasing. And that's the thing. People were so desperate for Mega Man that they wanted Mighty Number 9. Because they were just like, oh, look, it's almost Mega Man. Give it to me. And I don't think it looks that great. I don't think it looks as good as Mega Man always used to look.
And it'll never come out.
So it's really depressing to know it has a market, but Capcom just doesn't care anymore. They just don't care about Mega Man at all. I want to know what the Monster Hunter mobile game's going to be.
Oh god, it's going to be bad.
It's probably going to be real bad. but we shall see. Upcoming game releases in the next week or so.
Okay, so on the 5th, we have a bunch of stuff coming out, but not a lot of things that are particularly notable. No. Enter the Gungeon, which is a really fun-looking indie game.
Yeah, it's a roguelike, like dungeon crawler type game.
Yeah, and all the different enemies look like different kinds of bullets, and then they attack you in with guns that are firing the kind of bullets that they are. So there's one that's like a shotgun shell and it fires a shotgun at you. It's fun. It's got a really fun art style.
Yeah. I looked at it a little bit. There's Quantum Break.
Yeah, the big one, Quantum Break, coming out for the Xbone and
which has
PC.
Been getting decent reviews.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few reviews of it, and the worst thing that people have been saying about it is that the live action stuff, it doesn't make the game worse, but doesn't really make it better either. You just sort of don't need to watch it.
Just like Command and Conquer.
No, Command and Conquer, that heightened the game experience. Everything about those cutscenes heightened the game experience.
Don't talk shit about Command and Conquer's live action cutscenes.
Dude, Westwood knew where it was at.
Oh man, they're so bad.
You shut your mouth.
They're so bad. I understand the appeal of them.
What was the lady?
They're so cheesy.
What was the lady's name?
Was it Natalia or Natasha or something?
Something like that. She was ridiculous. Everything so about absurd. That was so stupid.
I am Yuri.
But no, the thing about Quantum Break's live action stuff is it's like an actual show. Yeah. And it's very well directed and well acted.
It's a lot better produced than what you would see back in the day.
But yeah, the complaint about it is that it's not it's well written enough, but it's not particularly well written.
Yeah.
And it just focuses on the side characters in an attempt to flesh out their backstories, but then it's these characters are still side characters, so they're not actually super relevant, so why do I care?
I've seen a lot of people saying that the game it's a video game that is only partially actually a video game. Because there's all this other stuff attached to it that's not a video game. But it's all a piece of it. So you're playing this game, but if you just pay attention to the video game parts, you're only getting a chunk of it. Which a lot of people find kind of weird and off-putting. Not that any of it's bad.
Yeah. But the things I've heard about the actual gameplay, the time mechanics in it are
really
awesome,
well implemented.
Supposedly, yes. There's different things you can do with different kinds of bullet time, and they're all very well put together, and they make combat
which is a good thing. Skullgirl's second Encore comes out on the PS Vita for anyone who's interested in fighting games. It's a good one.
Okay,
so you can check that out. And then a bunch of stuff that I don't recognize. Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed Chronicles Trilogy Pack. If you want to play
it's
Assassin's
for the Vita.
Creed games, oh my god! If you want to play Assassin's Creed games in much more interesting settings than the mainline ones.
Dead Star sounds familiar.
The link just goes to the studio. They're working on Bloodstained. Ritual of the Night, that Kickstarted game.
That amazing Kickstarter game.
Dead Star is twin-stick multiplayer space action.
Okay.
It's like a top-down shmup kind of thing. With leveling and loot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
That's kind of cool. So yeah, check it out. With that, we have run out of stories for today. We have a couple more, but they're not that exciting.
And we're way out of time.
Yeah, we're super out of time. So, thank you very much for listening. Check us out on all those social media places. Facebook, Twitter, Steam, YouTube, iTunes. Leave a review on iTunes, please. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And until next time, remember, don't copy that floppy.